All we know to all world. We live in a smaller world with bigger possibilities. A world in which there are no more singular events or isolated actions. A world where new things are made possible because everything is interconnected. And we see the potential of this new world. We couple ideas, unite knowledge, span technologies, so we can forge new connections and reveal possibilities. Our thinking is free of boundaries. We break down silos to build up new insights, ideas, and innovations that others can't.
Hi and welcome everyone. This is the Hobo Prepper and I am Friar Talk. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so there's a couple of reasons why I'm starting this live stream a little bit early. I've noticed that around 10 o'clock, which is when I normally start my live stream, that's really when it gets really busy. And you guys know me, being a traveler, I have to do my content in public places, and so the background noise can sometimes get a little overwhelming. And I'm noticing through a lot of my replays, especially with the live stream, that when I have a loud background noise in the back, it tends to cause a lot of people just to turn it off. So what I'm doing right now is I decided I wanted to go ahead and start the live stream a little bit early, and I'm just waiting. I'm going to give it a few minutes for the algorithm to kind of spit it out and for a couple of people to kind of get in. If any of you guys have any questions for me, be sure to go ahead and ask them in chat before I get started. Just to kind of let you guys know, we've been doing a lot of work, as you see. Look at the background there. That's pretty cool, isn't it? My mentor, he's really talented with graphics and video and media. It's kind of the background that he gets. So he's been creating some of the background images and flowing content that is going to be needed for not only future live streams, but the current content that we are making right now. Now it looks like we've got a couple of people in here already. Whoever the second person is, just go ahead and say hi in chat. So anyways, guys, I hope that you have been well. I hope that you have had a good week. There are some changes that are going to be happening to the channel. Why don't I go ahead and get into... there we go. Oops. As you see, still work in progress, trying to get it to transition. Okay, as you guys noticed that the video, it's not as grainy as it was. Hey, Bushcraft, how are you? You know what? It might be some secret cult. You never know. Yeah, I've started thinking about giving him a code name. I'm thinking about calling him. We'll figure that out moving forward. But everybody has a mentor at some point in time. Yes, the Hobo Society. Yes, and I got my 2 loyal members right here. All right. Okay, so there are some changes that are happening in the channel, and for various reasons. One of the things that I noticed, and if you guys heard me talk about this all the way back in January when I got my first warning, is that YouTube and just social media platforms in general are going through the process of kind of filtering out content for various reasons. The reasons may be, for legal reasons or for other reasons, maybe even political, maybe even company ideology. Okay. So as this is happening, certain content is getting throttled back on social media, and the prepping community is one of those that have been being hit. If you guys remember me talking about what's his name, MD Creekmore. MD Creekmore, one of the things that he's been complaining about, and some of the other prepper channels that I've watched are complaining about, is that their viewership isn't growing. And a lot of the reason why the viewership isn't growing is because, like, when you put out a video, I normally would get like 5,000 impressions and maybe a 6 or 7% click-through rate, which was really good, which meant I would probably get about 500 to 1,000 views on a video. Well, the deeper you get into a topic, the less that they really want this topic to kind of come out into the open and into the public, the views and the impressions start going down. And so I've noticed that that I've seen a lot of this happening to this channel. And prepping has many different facets. Prepping isn't just about, let's go ahead and, get our storage of food. Yes, that's one thing that you can do, not only for natural disasters, but you can also do it for end of the world scenarios, Mad Max scenarios, SHTF scenarios, and then maybe, having your own property, having your own stuff, and, kind of becoming self-sufficient and trying to get off the grid. Well, that can in some ways be counterproductive. There are other ways to prep. One thing that was explained to me yesterday is that, we could sit there and we could talk about all these different things. Hi, Anmo, how are you? We can talk about all these different things when it comes to technology, when it comes to the way that the world is moving. But can we stop it? No, we really can't. So right now, we kind of have to play that whole catch-up game. Are we going to catch up and, retool ourselves so that we can be prepared for what's coming? Or are we going to just stand there and try and be a stick in the mud as we are left behind? And this is something that, as a prepper, as a human, as an individual, that you are going to have to really start, having that in-depth talk with yourself. Because I'm having to have this talk. I have sworn off technology for the last 10 years for many different reasons. A lot of it was because I had a bad experience being in the IT field. Some of it was that, the technology was moving so fast that, I couldn't keep up with it, and various other things. And now all of a sudden, as the world is going towards a digital currency, as the world is going towards all these different things, either you are left behind, and then you're going to be one of those people that are dispossessed. You're going to be one of those people struggling and, and asking for a handout instead of, trying to retool yourself and be prepared and just become part of the overall world. As preppers, as individuals, as humans, as Americans, it is part of our own duty and responsibility as being a self-sufficient type of society that we, I guess the easiest way to say is to shit or get off the pot. Okay, so let me kind of retool myself, because sometimes my thoughts and what it is that I write comes out a lot better than what it is that I speak about. And I've been contemplating this subject for probably about 4 days, and just my overall evolution is this. My mentor and I, even though we're part of the hobo cult, my mentor and I, we have been sitting back and having a conversation of what is your price. And you as an individual have to kind of ask yourself, what is your price? What is the price that you're willing to pay for what it is that you want? And what price do you have that is going to bring you to the point? So let's think about this in the form of intelligence, like military intelligence or government intelligence or something like that. Within that community, you cannot have a price. You have to be able to have a set of standards and values and your own set of standards. And when it comes to the job in which you do, you can't have a price, because that price could cost lives. That price could compromise everything. And the more that I'm learning about not only how the world really works versus the way that we want the world to work, because some of us we kind of end up living in our own little fantasy land, is probably the easiest to put it. So let me talk about some things that I've been reading. Let's say you go to GoDaddy, let's say you go to YouTube, let's say you go to any hosting platform. They're going to have a list of, these are all the different things that we as a company we will not tolerate, and we will not do business with you. We will terminate your account. We will no longer allow you to use our platform under these different things. Okay, and so we as the consumer, we have sold our rights as a consumer and our rights as citizens in this country for in so many ways for a bowl of soup, to use that proverbial analogy, because I know a lot of you guys are Christians, and you know the story about was it Jacob and Esau, where Esau sells his birthright for a bowl of soup. Okay? In a lot of ways, we as a society have done that as Americans, because we as consumers have given up our right to ownership in exchange for convenience, in exchange to be able to have that instant gratification. So you read through the list of things that the company says, we will not do business with you, and most of it makes logical sense. No child pornography, no acts of violence, no illegal activities, no teaching people how to commit crimes. And these things are vastly important, because we don't need to teach people the wrong way to live, or not even the wrong way to live. We don't need to be sharing things that could be malicious and harmful to us as a society. But as you read down to the very, very bottom, there's always this last two lines. And if you go and look in anything that it is that you use, including the end user license agreement for the operating system in which you are using, like, especially like if you're using Windows or if you're using Mac, they're going to say, we also have the right to revoke your use of whatever it is that you are using, if in any way we feel we find your whatever it is that you're doing, your use of the tool or the use of their license as offensive or derogatory in any way or means, then they can terminate your use of their platform. And then also, hey, under any circumstances, if we as individuals choose to we just don't want you using our platform for whatever reason, kind of like, I don't know, I guess the thing that we can use to pull on the most would be Alex Jones, and kind of how he was deplatformed. Although he has his right to freedom of speech, he was inciting anxiety. I've talked to a lot of people that are Alex Jones followers, and it's the way in which he sensationalizes his content creates anxiety, and then causes other harm as time goes along. So even though they couldn't necessarily use all the different logical rules, they still had that one clause that says, hey, if at any time we choose to cancel your account without any reason, we have the right to do that. And we as the consumer and we as the owner have chosen to give up our rights in exchange for convenience, for ease. And this is why now all of a sudden, instead of being able to own something, so for example, somebody once said to me, you pay property taxes, right? Well, if you own something, you don't have to pay for it. You're paying rent for it. The government actually owns it. You don't. That's why you're paying taxes. You pay a subscription fee instead of actually just going to be able to buy the software outright. So let's say you want to go and you want the Adobe Creative Suite, right? You can't just go out there and buy the package anymore, install it on your local machine and say, okay, now I want to be able to I don't know. Sorry guys, it's like all of a sudden I had all this in my thought process, and then now that I'm live, it's kind of I'm drawing a blank. I've been putting a lot of information in my head. However, you cannot just go and buy the software anymore. They want you to pay a subscription. Why do they want you to pay a subscription? Because partly other people have taken advantage of the situation to go in there and to crack the license key and to be able to pirate the software. The other reason is because they want to be able to have control over who uses their software. Why? Because they could face litigation for the things in which you do and the things in which you create. And so now, therefore, in their need to be responsible, to their company and to their shareholders, and also in the way of needing to be able to make more money, because the core function of any corporation is for profit. So, lady was The lady was listening. I know what you're saying about the software. Yep. Well, I don't know. That's not something I've ever done. That's not something that I ever intend to do. Although I find it fascinating, it requires a certain skill set that I haven't actually acquired. But and again, what is we as the consumer? We've sold ourselves down the river and given up complete ownership of things. To now, when we hear the whole saying from the World Economic Forum that you will own nothing and be happy. Well, we've owned nothing for quite some time, and we've been completely happy and content about it. The stuff in which you purchase, you think that you're purchasing it, that you own it. I just found out that the laptop that I purchased, I don't actually own it, because if I owned it, when I paid the large amount of money, I paid it up front. I didn't get it on payments. I paid for it outright. And when I purchased it, I figured I could do whatever it is that I want to do with the machine. If I want to open it up and void the warranty, I have the choice to open it up, and I have the right to void my warranty. Okay. In that same facet, now all of a sudden, fast forward about a year and a half, now all of a sudden, I decided I don't want Windows on my machine anymore. I want to use Linux, because I hear that Linux is faster. It uses your hardware much better. It is more user friendly. It has all these positive benefits that go along with it. I think I want to switch to that, because I don't like the fact that every time I do something on Windows, I have to reload my machine. I have to uninstall, reinstall, because there's so much garbage. You install something, decide you don't want to uninstall it, and then it leaves the garbage in the registry, and then you can't get it out of the registry. So the easiest way for the end consumer, if you're really not that educated, is you just uninstall, reinstall. How many hours of your life are you wasting away to uninstall, reinstall? It gets a bug, it gets a virus, it gets this, it gets that. And then you have to uninstall, reinstall, and it becomes a nightmare, to the point where you're like, I'm just going to deal with it. And then you realize, okay, that my machine, it is slow. Windows loads everything into your memory, so that your hardware is being overtaxed, and so therefore it moves slow, because instead of only using what it is that you need to use, you're using what it is that they have decided that that you should be using, which is they're just going to load the whole thing in there. That way, there's no worry about what it is that's being used. And so now all of a sudden, your hardware is being bogged down. It doesn't matter how much you get. I got 32 gig of RAM. I got a 6 gig video card. I've got all these different things, and yet my machine runs slower than snot. Well, the nice thing about moving over to Linux, talking about the changes in this channel is also what I'm going to be talking about, but I'm kind of going to intertwine it in this user experience. And so, trying to get my video card, which I have an NVIDIA video card. I got a 6 gig video card, because I needed this as a production machine to be able to do my video editing. Well, because of the things that HP did when they created the BIOS, and they put their own signatures on it, and they made sure to do their own branding, which is the right that every company has. It's not wrong, it's not right, it's just what they did. That has created issue upon issue upon issue for me to be able to switch from having a Windows machine to to having a Linux machine. And now the great thing about Linux is I'm using my hardware the way that it's supposed to be being used. It is being less taxing on my hardware. I am able to get in and get out. And if it wasn't for having somebody at my side that actually had the knowledge and the experience and the expertise on how to be able to get around this, I would have never actually gotten Linux on my system. I like Linux for many reasons, mostly because if you guys remember the days of Windows XP when you could turn on your machine and it would just quickly boot up and you'd be right to the login screen versus waiting 5 minutes for it to show up, or when you do a task, it just pops right up and you get right into that task, or you play a video game and it actually performs without overheating your machine or causing lag. This is this is something that with Linux, because it's using my hardware properly, because it's not loading everything in there, it's loading what I want it to load in there. I get control over my system. And see, this is what we as the end consumer have done, is we have given up our rights of autonomy, our rights of ownership, our ability to be able to configure the stuff that we buy the way that we want it, because they're doing it as kind of like a one-size-fits-all. And as someone who was educated in a Windows background and taught how Windows works, and told that Windows is the greatest thing since sliced bread and the invention of the automobile, I'm finding out that I was lied to in a lot of ways. But this is kind of, but also on the same end, Apple and Microsoft created an industry. They created an operating system and a platform that everybody and their mother is able to get. And so now it's become as common as having a TV in every room. Everybody has a computer, everybody has a laptop, everybody has access to technology. So but the thing is like everything as it evolves through time, is that it becomes corrupted. It becomes in order to be able to keep its dominance and to keep its place in the hierarchy of things, and in a lot of ways, because it's working for them now, they don't want to change, and because they don't want to change, it holds society back on one way, but also it is a lot of your companies don't really last longer than maybe 50 to 100 years, because they refuse to change with the times, because they got used to being on top in the time in which they're in. And so now we're kind of in this new digital era that we're moving into, with a new digital currency, with a new with advanced robotics, advanced in artificial intelligence, advanced circuitry, the ability to be able to see this iPhone right here. That's a computer in my pocket. If 50 years ago, if I would have told you could put a computer in your pocket and have information at your fingertips, you would have looked at me and thought I was crazy. But through all of the different innovations, and now eventually with what Elon Musk is doing, they're going to put a computer in your head one day. This is how technology is evolving, but sometimes these companies do not evolve with the times. Okay. And that's kind of the thing that we're facing with the paid operating systems, such as Microsoft and Apple, is that they're not evolving with the times. Apple is doing a better job at it than, let's say, Microsoft is, but they each have their own vulnerabilities. And now with the introduction of 5th generation warfare and the cyber world out there, you used to be that you were worried about the neighborhood that you lived in, because you could walk down the street and you needed to be able to feel safe. Well, the internet was never created to be secure. The internet was just created to be able to share information back and forth. And so now, instead of being out on your local highways, or not on your local highways, but being out on your local streets in your local neighborhood, you are now a global neighborhood, which is digital. And there are different ways in which you can be held up or be robbed or be attacked. And because we as a society are not really evolving with it, or we are trusting the vendors that we're purchasing our information from to secure us, if you do your due diligence and you do your research, you'll find out that they're not doing it, because in the same way that ignorance of the law is no excuse, ignorance of device security is no excuse. You as the end user are required to have your own knowledge, to know how to secure your own device, because only you know what you're using that device for. Now, they can put certain stipulations on it and certain things like that on it, but you as the end user, you are responsible for your own... I've got a fly around here. You're responsible for your own device security. So, are you logging out of the different websites, or are you staying logged in? Are you using a browser that collects data on you? Are you making sure that you have secure passwords that they cannot, do an easy hack on it. These are different things that we as individuals have gotten lazy on and now made ourselves vulnerable. Now, with what's going on in Ukraine with fifth generation warfare, that they're not really talking about it in the public, but there is plenty of information out there about the cyber attacks that are happening to the infrastructure in Ukraine. They're taking out power grids, they're taking out communications, and then that sets it up for the kinetic warfare to actually become more effective. And this is happening all over the world. This is the hidden war that we're not seeing as a society. So if you're going to be a prepper, if you want to be prepared, yes, get your food. Yes, learn how to grow your own food. Yes, learn how to make your own stuff. But that is yesterday's technology. That is yesterday's evolution. Right now, you use a computer. You're watching me on either a phone or you're watching me on your desktop. Okay, how secure is that device? Do you, you go to a website, somebody may be putting malicious malware on there. You accidentally download a file thinking that it's going to be a patch for an issue that you're having with your computer. Next thing you know, it's ransomware or it's malicious. Content that either logs your keystrokes. It turns your machine into, let's say, a crypto miner, or they are using your machine to do pass-through and to do spoofs so that they can do other things. There are many, many different ways in which those with malice intent can use your device without you even knowing it. And next thing you know, you're caught up going, you've got the police at your door because all of a sudden they're using your machine as a way to they're using your machine as, hold on a second, guys, as a way to be able to do their malicious deeds. Okay, and now you're going to have to explain this, and because you were not educated or you were not aware of this enough, you are now facing legal trouble, possible criminal charges. And how are you as an individual going to protect yourself? Which is why I'm making the changes in this channel and which I'm doing, because to be able to talk about the standard prepping things, the content is being suppressed, okay, in its own ways for various reasons. Some good, some may not be so good, but it's YouTube's platform and they can do whatever they want with it because it's their platform. They own it, okay? And because I don't own it and because I don't have the ability to host my own stuff, I have to be subject to their rules, their conditions, and so on and so forth, okay? So I am going to be moving the channel from talking about your traditional prepping stuff to talking about prepping for the new digital world in which we live in. Okay, it may even cause me just to be able to make the algorithm happy, to make YouTube happy. I may be changing the channel name as well. But we're still going to be talking about this content. We're still going to be talking about prepping and being prepared for the future. But instead of talking about the happenings in the news, instead of talking about what's the fear porn and getting you guys scared and anxious, which is not doing anything productive to you or for society, and eventually what it is that we think comes into reality in the first place. So it is in all of our best interests that we are able to that we are able to kind of put more of a positive spin on all of this. So what we're going to be working on is we're going to be working on educating you on the digital world, the digital opportunities, and the digital economy that is coming about. Because as robotics and as advanced robotics come into play, so you go to McDonald's right now, you only need 2 people to work there instead of the 7, 8, 10, 20 people that they used to hire, because now they can automate everything. So therefore, the only way for you to be able to have a good working job is for you to educate yourself in being able to maintain and administer this new technology. It's going to be the only way in which you survive, because we as a society, the need for this large workforce is going away. The need for all of this is going away because of we're no longer in the first industrial revolution. You needed a lot of factory workers because, yes, you had an automated system, but you still needed the human to do the input, the human to do all this and that and the other. Now the robots, because of artificial intelligence, advanced robotics and circuitry, we are able to have our machines do a lot of these menial tasks so that you as the individual can sit there and focus on the more important task, which is to verify and make sure that there's no issues with the robot that is making sure that the chip is made correctly, making sure that the object is made correctly for you as an individual. Okay, this is what the transition is for. So do we need 500 workers in a factory nowadays? No, we don't. And so what this is going to do is we as a society are going to have to not only change the way that we educate ourselves, we're going to have to get into the maths and into the sciences. I'm reading a C++ book, C++ for Dummies. And there is math that's involved in it. There is language that is involved in it. And these are basic skills that our children in today's society don't really have, not only because the schools aren't teaching them, but the parents aren't enforcing it as well. Again, we as a society have taken the opportunity to take control of our own destiny and made somebody else responsible for it so that we don't have to be responsible, and then we can complain about it as if it's not our responsibility. Like I was talking with some guys this morning, you want to complain about government, you want to sit there and say how bad government really is. Is government really the problem, or are you the problem? Because Mitch McConnell, if it wasn't for people electing him as a representative or as a senator, he would not be in office. So it is the people that are choosing him to be in office that are contributing to the problem. Look in your local area. My old man and I, we have lots of conversations about this where I've told him, I'm like, hey, look, man, you don't like the Republicans. You think that the Republicans are spineless, they're not doing you any service, and they're just as bad as the Democrats. But then you won't go and vote for a third-party candidate because you want to vote for a guy that's going to win. Well, if you're doing that and everybody else is doing that, is there a change? And if you're not willing to change, do you have the right to complain about the corruption and the bad things that are going on that you don't agree with? Okay, so we as a society need to start taking back responsibility, taking back ownership of what it is that we have. Otherwise, you should own nothing and be happy because you're not willing to be responsible to begin with. You're not willing to take the time to educate yourself on how to digitally secure your device. We've seen how voting works out lately. Again, this comes to your knowledge of digital security, of securing your device. If we took it more seriously, not only on the commercial end, but on the individual end, you might sit there and go and talk to your local representatives and say, we no longer want to use the electronic voting system. We want to use the paper ballot system. But there are still things that could go wrong there because all it is, well, we've got a paper copy and we could say that there was this many votes because there's no digital record of it that can be looked at. But also on the digital side, somebody can manipulate it and change it. Like I remember during the 2000 election, you would vote for Bush and it would log it for Al Gore or vice versa, one or the other. And so that was part of what caused the problems in Florida in 2000. Was because of a bug within the system, whether it was intentional or it wasn't intentional. Okay. So these different things, we as a society need to start taking control instead of sitting there complaining about the problem. It is up to us as individuals to really, do our due diligence because one of the things I learned in Oregon, okay, so I went up to the state capitol one day and I wanted to meet my representative and I wanted to meet my senator from my district. And I sat down and I got to meet with both of them, and because I was a constituent, not a company, they always made sure to really sit down with me and let me voice my concerns and ask questions and find out about how the process worked, because they knew that if they did not, I was the customer, and they wanted to make sure that I'm happy. Okay. And so I asked them, I said, well, you know, I have some ideas that would kind of make things run a little bit more efficient. How do I go through the process? Well, they explained to me the process, at least in Oregon. You go up there, you talk to your senator or your representative, depending upon whether you want to do something legal or you want to do something as a spending bill, you know, is where you're going to go. And then what you will do is you will sit there and write an outline of what it is that you want them to accomplish. And then they will take that outline and they will send it over to a team of lawyers, and those lawyers will sit there and write out the legalese. And then it will go to committee. And then at committee, because it comes from you and your local representative is going to get credit for it, which is going to make them look good. And they're taking your idea and saying, hey, look, I listened to my constituents. It's a win-win for everybody. And so then it goes to committee. And then if it makes it out of committee because enough people are able to get on board because they see the logic and reason behind it, and there's also enough media coverage behind it, then it will go out to on the floor for vote, and then it will get passed or it will get shot down. And if it gets passed, it will go to the governor. And so you as the individual have the ability and have the tools at hand to make the changes within your community, within your district, within your local area that you want to make. It is just a matter of you getting off your duff and going down and having a conversation with those representatives that you elect. And if they won't listen to you, if they won't hear you, then that is your duty and your obligation and your responsibility to go out there and say, hey, look, this guy doesn't listen to me. I sat down and I tried to have a conversation with him, and this was the conversation, and he just told me to go stuff it. He wasn't going to do it. And if your local neighbor and everybody else agrees with it, this guy may not, when it comes for re-election, this guy may be facing some serious heat and may not actually get up there. But when you have people that are just sitting there going, oh, he's got an R next to his name, oh, he's got a D next to his name, I'm just going to vote red, I'm going to vote blue, and you're just being a mindless drone, and then you want to complain about the problems that you have, such as the debt, such as what we're, where we're sending money as far as foreign aid. You want to complain about domestic policy, but yet all you do is you sit there and you check the D and you check the R, and you don't actually take the time. And this plays out in everything in society. So again, your price was convenience. Your price was so that you didn't have to be responsible. Okay, what was your price? What were you willing to? What was it that you were willing to accept in order to be able to give up complete control? Okay, was it convenience? Was it, just in there giving somebody else the responsibility so that you don't have to be responsible, but yeah, you can sit back and complain about it? These are different things that you as an individual really need to take account for and take responsibility for. Not just you, me too. Everybody sitting in, anybody who considers themselves an American citizen, a U.S. citizen, or that lives here, they themselves, have to take account and ask themselves, is this the price? Are they willing to subject themselves to the whims of another individual? Because the government gives them everything. It gives them welfare, it gives them, socializes their medicine, gives them universal basic income, gives them free health care, gives them free college, free this, free that. Well, okay, that was your price in order to give up control. So what is your price really? What are you willing to accept as payment to be able to, give away your country, give away your rights, give away your sovereignty as an individual? Because what was recently explained to me, and I already knew this, but to just kind of have it put in the words that it was put, is that, right now in this modern society, you are the product. Because they are advertising to you. They want your money. They want your viewership. They want you to sit there and to pay attention to them. Okay? And because you are the product, now they are going to go out there and they are going to go buy the data that you willfully gave away without question, without asking for some sort of compensation in return for your data, and I'm going to use that data, and I'm going to put it into something that is human readable, so that I can therefore go out there and use media to be able to manipulate you. It is neither good, it is neither bad, but it is a manipulation, regardless of how you want to portray it. And it is going to get you to do what it is that I want you to do, which is to buy my product, to pay attention to me, to look at me as being the sole source of your salvation. Because as a company, that's what they want you to do. They see that you have a problem, and they want to be your go-to fix, your go-to solution. You want a computer, your go-to solution is a Windows machine, is a Mac machine, okay? It is, and people, because they want something that's out of the box, it's just gonna work, that they don't have to think, that they can just use and not be responsible for educating themselves and knowing actually how to use it. Again, what is your price? What is it that you are willing to accept as payment for your individual sovereignty and to be able to sell your fellow man down the river? Because what you do today, the price that you accept today, is going to be the price that your children have to pay in the future. Okay? One of my favorite sayings is, bad things happen when good men do nothing. And there comes a point when you have to ask yourself, are you going to stand up? It does not mean that you get violent. It does not mean that you get that you get malicious. It does not mean that you go out there and riot in the streets. What it means is that you take a moment and you use this, and you take a book and you read it, because there's a lot of information that they hide and they put it in a book because nobody ever reads the damn thing. Okay, take a moment. This right here is the most powerful tool that you have. This right here that I'm using where I'm speaking, it is the most dangerous tool that you have. Because when you use this, coupled with this, you are unstoppable, because knowledge is power. And to be able to share that knowledge with others is to empower others. So at some point, you as an individual have to, step up and take responsibility for the things in which you do. Okay? So I have not been reading the comments because I've been on my own little rant. So let's see. Sophie, okay. My Windows laptop, I had the same problem, investigative reporter, where my laptop was... So one of the worst things for a computer, I think I'm getting a Linux, I may buy a laptop. Here's Hobo Thomas, here's what I'm going to tell you. If you're going to go and get a Linux laptop, do yourself a favor, because let's say the NVMe drive, okay, your hard drive, okay, it comes with a 10-year warranty. You go buy it through a company like HP, Lenovo, Dell, whatever company you decide to buy, Acer, Asus. Okay, they are going to put their firmware on it, which is going to void that warranty. So instead of getting a 10-year warranty on that NVMe drive, you're now getting a 1-year manufacturer's warranty with whatever way they decide to modify the design. It is better that you take the opportunity to go out there and to build your own machine. And this is something that that I'm working on in the background, is that we are going to, using my Amazon affiliate links, we're going to give you some products that you can buy to be able to build your machine that's not only going to be Linux compatible, but is going to be, the bang for your buck, so that you can get the maximum performance out of your machine. Okay. These are simple things that you can do, but I strongly recommend, and this is what I plan on doing when I buy my next laptop. What I plan on doing is I want to configure my own. I want to build it from the ground up. That way I know what BIOS is on it, because that's how HP is able to prevent me from putting Linux on to be able to work with my NVIDIA driver. That was the main obstacle we had to overcome. They also put certain things in there, certain programming that will take my buses and they will turn them off. Okay, and I want to be able to have complete control over my system, which means now I have to educate myself. I have to go and understand the hardware specs in which I'm using. Okay, it's just like It's just like anything you do in life. The more you understand, the more educated of a consumer you become, the better the experience that you're going to have. So maybe take the time and understand your chipsets. Do you want an AMD? Do you want an Intel? Which one's going to work for you and the types of programs that you're looking at running? You know, each one has their benefits and their drawbacks. You know, what type of RAM am I going to want to use? Am I going to be going after warranty, or am I going to be going after a throughput speed? And, you know, what generation motherboard am I getting? And because if you have a 4th generation motherboard, but you're using 3rd generation technology, your motherboard is now working on a 3rd generation technology instead of working at the proper 4th generation, which is what it was designed for in the first place. So understanding these basic things is important, because that's one of the other things that happen within my laptop is I have a 4th generation motherboard, but they put 3rd generation hardware in there, which then caused my motherboard to throttle back to meet the criteria of the lowest common denominator, which is a 3rd generation technology. Okay, and so this is things that you as an individual need to take the time to educate yourself. So I'm hoping that you guys will be able to follow with me and to, you know, kind of help me with this transition. I know I'm not getting a lot of views right now because, you know, I'm having to retrain the YouTube algorithm. Okay, and part of retraining that YouTube algorithm means I'm not going to get a lot of views for a while. The more you guys view this, the more that you guys are sharing it, hitting that like button, leaving comments. I mean, you guys have been leaving a lot of chats. This is probably the most the most active I've seen chat since I've been here, and I'm glad to see that all of you guys are you know, paying attention and you know, getting. Thanks. Yeah, no worries, man. Talk to you later, Hobo Thomas. But you know, I'm glad that you guys are getting involved and interacting, because I'm asking you as my community to help me, you know, kind of retool the algorithm and to get back to the area that we were, because as a society, okay, as a society, this is probably where we need to prepare the most, because this is the largest learning curve. This is where we as a society are behind. Preppers especially, because you know, being on the land is one thing, but you know, eventually you're going to have robots that will do all your farming for you. You know, we're to the point where we've advanced so much in technology and in science that we can now grow chicken in a lab. You know, so we may not need to have the large farms that we have, because as technology grows, we're trying to do less damage to the planet while also improving our technology. At least that's the underlying tone, the underlying idea behind that. Okay, so I'm hoping that you guys will be here as part of as part of my transition, and really help me with my watch time, help me with my views, and help me get this content out, because I think that we as a society, we have sold ourselves down the river for a bowl of soup. And was it really worth giving up your birthright for a bowl of soup? Okay, that's really the question that we as individuals need to start asking ourselves. And so this is the message I was hoping to portray today, and also to kind of inform you guys of the transition that's happening. So instead of being under people and blogs, I'm going to be under science and technology, because we're going to be talking about Linux. There's a reason why I'm talking about Linux. Linux gives you the opportunity to configure your system the way that you would like to. Linux gives you the opportunity. Linux gives you the opportunity to configure your system. Unlike Windows, where everything is turned on and you're broadcasting everything that you have and just making yourself open for anybody that to be able to see your information, to be able to see the things that you want to keep private and secure and have ease of access to. You know, the nice thing about Linux is it turns all of that off. So the only way that you're ever going to be able to make yourself vulnerable is if you, the end user, configure it to be turned on and to be able to share that. But you know, maybe the environment that you're in, you're okay with that. Maybe you're okay with sharing your information with everybody that wants to come by, whether they care to see it or not. Okay, these are different things that, you know, we as an individual, we as a society really need to be thoughtful of. Okay, So, anyways, guys, we are getting towards the end, and I don't want to continue ranting because I'm getting a dry mouth and I'm kind of starting to lose my voice a little bit. So I want to say thank you guys for watching. Okay, thank you for watching as long as you have. Thank you for being part of this. If you guys want to help out, you guys know how to help out the channel. Become a subscriber. Hit that like button. If you haven't already hit that like button, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to leave a comment down in the comments. If you want to help out financially, go down in the description. You can donate cryptocurrency, or you can go through PayPal or CashApp. If you want to help out in other ways and actually get a bang for your buck, come on over to Patreon. I have 4 tiers for you. I've got behind the scenes, I've got hobo tutorials, and which I'm going to start focusing on the tutorials for Linux there as well. And then also, I've got constitutional history, because you need to be able to learn how to enforce your rights, because, your ignorance is being preyed upon every day that you refuse to educate yourself. Okay, and then if you want to be able to have access to all of that, there's the Triple Crown tier that you guys can get into. But anyways, guys, I want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for being my subscribers, and I will see you guys in the next video.